Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Now this is the last part of our this topic, which is on CV and job application. We are already over with job advertisement, and in response to that advertisement, the job application. Now the last part of this topic is going to be presented through this, and we see that what are the learning outcomes after this presentation. It is going to end, and we see that I will tell you what is a CV and what is the difference between CV and resume, how to make your CV, and then I will tell you what are those essential steps, some points I have mentioned which we should remember, and finally I'm going to wrap it up, all the three parts, whatever we would have done by that time. So let's get to the meaning of a CV. It is a noun, and singular, when it is singular, we call it curriculum vitae, and when it is plural, we call it curricula vitae. Now, this is the Latin expression or the Latin term, and most of the times we do not take the full name of it, and hardly people call it curriculum vitae or curricula vitae. It is mostly abbreviated as CV. And this is the pronunciation. Both British and American pronunciations of this word are same. We see that it is curriculum vitae, and if you can see, there are two dots after this vowel sound. It means that it will be a long vowel. It won't be vitae, it will be vitae. So let me pronounce it once again. Curriculum vitae, in both British and American English. Well, so it's a written record of one's education and the jobs one has done that one sends when one is applying for a job. So we see that this is required when someone applies for a job or for any kind of academic endeavor. Sometimes it is required for academic pursuits also, which I will, in the coming slides, I will tell you. So I use the term CV, and then there is another term which is resume. Now, if you could look at the two these signs over here, they are actually called accents. Accents, because this is not the word in English, this is word in French, and from French it has come into English, and now it has its own pronunciation in British English and in American English too. Now you can see that it is also a noun, and in British English it is pronounced as resume. You see, zu, because there's a long vowel sound. Resume, so it will be pronounced as resume, you see. But in American English it will be pronounced differently. It will be pronounced as resume. So it won't be you, it will be resume. So let me pronounce both once again. In British English it will be pronounced as resume, and in American English it will be pronounced as resume. See, so up to you, whatever you pronounce. But what is this? This is actually a short summary or account of something, especially your achievements in the field of profession or in the field of your academic life. All right. And in British English we see that they do not use the term resume as such. They use the term curriculum vitae or CV. So mostly in American they have two separate terms, CV and resume, and the coming slide will tell you what is actually the difference between both these terms or both these documents. Now it is the difference between a resume and a CV. Look at this. If you can see, the yellow color will tell you what actually a resume, and the blue color will tell you what is a CV. These in the middle, you will see that there are 3 points or the 3 things in which these two have a difference. The common point between both is that resume and a CV both have the record of your personal information as well as your academic and professional information, and both are used for applying for something. See, but now look at the length of a resume and the length of a CV. Mostly resume is of 1 page. It's a 1 page or it's a summary of whatever your CV is about. So CV is in detail. It has no particular length. It is more than 2 pages. Sometimes people have more than 5 pages, sometimes 10 pages. It depends upon their achievements or their past work history, past employment history, or past qualification history. So it depends on that. But it has a lot of information which is given, and CV is usually too much in detail. I mean, it has even the mention of the books that the person has written, articles written, theses written. So everything is in detail with names, with sometimes even with dates. And so that is the chronological record of all the achievements that one has achieved over a number of years. Okay, but resume is the summary of all those things which a CV has, right? Now the second point, which is related with purpose. So in terms of purpose, we look at resume that it highlights the reel of your professional and personal accomplishments. Yes, it only highlights, it does not give a detail, it only highlights. Whereas, come to the blue side, right side. On the other hand, CV is a comprehensive history of your educational and professional life. Comprehensive means which is in detail each and every point. It's not just the highlighting or the summary or the brief account of your achievements. It is actually the detailed account of your achievements. Look at the third and the last point, which is different between these two documents. We see that organization means that how you arrange it, how the setup of these two documents is, that we see that CV, that resume, it is actually tailored. Tailored means prepared to a specific job listing. It has to be changed according to the requirement of job. See, and it can have many formats. The second point you can see to the left side, the last point, that it can take on a variety of formats. So there is not just one format of resume. There are many formats. I will tell you just a standard format, and there can be some you can say shuffling of it, but most of the times those points are going to be the same. Now look at the right side, the blue side, and the first bullet, that sections are organized in reverse chronological order. Now what is this reverse chronological order? It means that you have to include the recent or the latest information first, and then you have to go to the past. For example, if you are going to give the educational background or history in your CV, then you have to start from your latest one. For example, from masters, if you are masters, or if you're MPhil, or if you're PhD. So you should start PhD first and then go to metric in the end. So it is called a reverse chronological order. Probably in mathematics it is called as descending order. I think so. See, and the last bullet on this slide is that sections may be moved around based on job listing, but the CV remains comprehensive. So section moved means that sometimes there can be change within sections. I mean, number 4 can go to number 5, or number 5 can go to number 6, but overall detail will be there. So now we come to the point that resume is a short version of CV. But in most of the times in Pakistan, the term CV is used both for CV and resume. Hardly people say that submit your resume. Everybody says submit your CV. When they mean resume, they still say that submit your CV. So, CV is the collective term in Pakistan for resume and for this detailed one. So, when I'm going to teach you, I will not use the word resume, but you should know that resume is actually used for jobs, and CVs can be used for the jobs as well as for any further studies. For example, if somebody wants to go for PhD outside Pakistan, that person has to submit first a CV of all the background information that the person has. So in Pakistan, we have to see that only one term is used, and that is CV. And there too, it is used for the short format, means that whatever the resume is, they use it for that. Um, so this is how it is being done. So here, whenever we go for some kind of job, we don't say that we are submitting our resume. We say that we are submitting our CV. Right. Now I will tell you the basic steps or the essential steps of CV. Again, I'm using the term CV, but it means resume because it has to be short. See? Well, so the first point that your CV must have or resume must have, it is your biodata, your personal profile, or your personal details. When you complete this section, you should include the following details: your full name, your address, residential address, your date of birth, including the year, your nationality, contact telephone numbers, which would include home and mobile both, and your email address. Now, this is where I always tell students that they should make a decent email address so that when they have to prepare their CV, this address has to be written over there, right? Well, the second point is going to be the objectives or your personal statement. Now, what is this? This is basically a brief but to the point statement about yourself, which makes sure that you include the keywords which best describe your character. Sometimes people write that seeking a job in an organization which uh, could utilize my talent to the optimum, for example. So, this is how we see that it is about one's mission, you can say, or one's goal, you can say, one's objective, that why somebody wants to apply, what that person has those qualities, whether he is a challenge seeker, whether he is a person who can build up a team. So this is usually 3-4 lines maximum, in which the applicant writes about one's personal views about that job, you can say. See, here we see that the step number 3, employment history. Again, I told you that it will be in the reverse chronological order, where the most recent will be given first, and then one has to go back to the past. So employment history has to be mentioned. It can also be written as academic qualification. It can have different names. You see, sorry, not academic qualification. It will be your professional achievements. It can be given another heading, and that can be professional heading, professional qualification. It can be given like that as well. Right. So the next point will be academic qualification or academic achievements. Girls, it's words can be different. I mean, somewhere they may say that academic history or academics or academic qualification or academic achievements. Somewhere they may write professional qualification or professional history or professional achievements. Their headings can be different, but these things have to be mentioned. See, well, let's get to point number 5. Here you are going to give some idea about the interests or hobbies. Sometimes people write book reading, sometimes people write stamp collection, sometimes people write sports, sometimes people write community service. So whatever interests or hobbies you have, you mention over there. And finally, skills. Skills are going to be somewhere people have the language proficiency skills. I mean, you may say that I have computer literacy. I know how to work on MS Word or MS PowerPoint, or you can mention that you are good at internet handling, surfing, creating web pages. So whatever your skills are, either they're in language or they are in other fields, you mention over there. See, and finally we have references. References is that it means that are you known by the other people, the people in who are at prominent positions? Do they know you? So these references give an impression to the employer that you have a good name among different people. You see, so these are those 7 essential steps which a CV or a resume they have. And we see that there can be shuffling in for example, sometimes people write their academic qualification first and then employment history second, or sometimes skills go to number 5 and number 5 comes to number 6. Whatever they do, but mostly all these things are given in your resume or in your CV. See, I'm not going to use the word resume now. Let's make it a CV, just one term, right? So I told you that in Pakistan we do not get to hear this term resume most of the times. We listen to the term CV over here, curriculum vitae. So that is what it is. Now this is just one example I want to present in front of you. You see that this person, whosoever that is, he has first given his name here on the top left side, and then there is going to be address. So all these things, they will make up the point number 1 or the step number 1, which is your personal information or biodata or personal profile. You can call it anything. You see, some people to the rightmost side, they have their photo as well. Sometimes the females in Pakistan might not give their photos, but here the photo is also given. Here it is also the passport size photo. It is pasted to the right side. Okay. Then you see professional summary. Now it can, again I told you that it can have different names. Here the person has used the term professional summary. It can be objective, or it can be the personal statement, and here the person has written only one line. So this can be one of the things which is different. Then this person has given the first thing is work experience, and here you see in bullets form. Remember, you are not going to write sentences. You will write bullets, means points, in the form of phrases, not in the form of sentences, because it has to be to the point. Nobody is interested in reading the full paragraphs, you see. So already your job application or cover letter has given the overall idea about you. So here the things will be pinpointed, they will be focused, and here there will be headings, and then there will be those bullet points. And here the person has started from 2018, means the latest one, and then he has taken us to 2012 and 14, whatever that 12. So from reverse chronological order we get to know that the recent one is given the first, and then the one which is the back into the past, it has been given the latter position, right? Now let's get to education. Now I told you that there can be different headings for different these steps. It can be academic qualification, it can be academic history, academic achievement, or simply academics. And here this person has used the term education. And here this person has written again the most recent to uh, the past. So here bachelor degree of computer science. So it means that this person is not masters. So he has given us his latest degree, that is bachelor, which is from 2004 to 2008. And then he talked about his certification, which was from 2002 to 2004. So he wrote 2008 first and then 2004 or 2 later. Well, now he talked about additional skills. Again, he wrote the word additional. You can simply write skills, right? So here this person has written, for example, Microsoft Office package. You see, since he is applying for the job related to computers, so of course his computer skills are important. So he talks about the courses or his skills. See, so these skills he has written over here. So he has not written over here the hobbies or interests. So it is okay. Again, hobbies and interests can be written. If you write, that's a very good thing. You must write. This person has not written, so you just ignore, but you have to write. And then, of course, references. References here, only one liner, that references available on request. Most of the times people write this. They don't write the names of those people. They simply write that references will be furnished on request. Means that when you tell us which person knows you, then I will then tell you who is that person. So most of the times people write only this one line, so that if at all somebody, the employer wants to know the names of those people on the eminent positions, then what happens that the person has to be called. Usually this is how this one line is written. Okay. So after coming to this point, that what are those parts and how those parts can be written in different order, we come to some important points that you should remember. Now this is the most important thing, that CV is always typed, never handwritten. So it means that we need to know at least MS Word skill, how to write, how to type in MS Word. It is the basic thing that we require. See, so it has to be typed. It is never handwritten. Okay. Yes. Now this point, that mention pages in footer, what it means that usually the resume is one pager, but CV can be 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, whatever. So what you should do is that you have to mention in footer, means that at the bottom, how many pages out of what. For example, if there are 2 pages of your CV, your footer in the bottom of your document, it should be written page 1 of 2. On the second page, page 2 of 2. Now what is the benefit of this? What is the advantage of this? It gives an idea to the employer that there is another page, and it also tells that person that there are only 2 pages. When you simply write 1 2, probably there is page number 3 4 which are missing, but when you say 1 out of 2 or 1 of 2, it means that only 2 pages are there. And then on the second page, when it is 2 of 2, means done. Now 2 pages are done. So always mention page numbers in the footer. Footer means in the bottom, and most of the times it is the rightmost side of the bottom of the page where the footer or the pages are mentioned. Already I told you that there are many formats of CV or resume. I have already given you in those notes 3 or 4 formats. You see that people sometimes write in the middle their name, they put their photo in the middle. Sometimes they divide their CV document into 2 columns. On one column they give one information, on the other column they give another information. So you can see different CV formats on internet, and then you will find out that there are so many of them that are there. So there is not just a fixed format, but yes, the things that I have told you, those 6 or 7 things, they are usually there. I mean, you may skip interests, which I say that you should not miss, but it can be that some of the steps can be shuffled. I mean, as I told you in one of those slides, that number 5 can go to number 4 can come down to number 5. But most of the times, all these things have to be given in the CV. Yes, fancy font styles, a big no. So CV is considered to be, or a resume is considered to be an academic or a professional or an official document. It has to be very decently written, where the font style has to be simple. There is no fancy means that those curvy, twisty kind of font styles, they are not encouraged at all. And the font sizes also are those ones which are easily readable. It should not be less than 11, and it should not be more than 12. I mean, font size also has to be standardized. You can't write some things with very big format font size, and then somewhere you use small, and somewhere you use the large font size. No, try to be uniform. Yes, for headings, naturally you will go for some bold font size, but whenever you are going to write the bullet points, they have to be mostly they have to be in 11 or maximum 12. I have not seen even 12. It has to be mostly 10, 11, 11. Okay. And there has to be uniformity in everything that you do. Means that if you have written the heading of your personal profile in Times Roman, then don't go to a different font for the next heading and a different font for the next heading. You have to use similar or the same font style that you have chosen for one heading. See, so this is how you have to do. Yes, this is basically the line for resume. When you go for job, any job that you have chosen, you have to make different changes in your CV or resume. A new job will have a new CV or a new resume. Reason is this, that there are certain requirements that you have to highlight. For example, if you are going for a botany expert in some field, so you have to focus more on the area that is related with botany. You see, some people over there, if they're applying for the job of biology teacher, for example, then you don't have to mention simply the things about botany, because botany is a specialized field, whereas probably your school job or a college job asks you to be a biology teacher. So for biology teacher, if you just focus on botany, and whereas the course that you are going to teach will have zoology also, then it means that you are actually limiting yourself. So for such a job, your CV or resume should focus not on botany or zoology separately. It has to focus on biology, because your job is a biology teacher or a biology um, or a supervisor in that field. Okay, so it depends according to the requirement of the job. So CV has to be altered or amended or slightly changed according to the requirement of the job that you are applying for. That makes us come to the conclusion of part 1, 2, and 3. remember that these three parts, the first one was about job advertisement, the second one was about job application, and the third one, the same that I am at the moment presenting, it is about CV. The common points between these three are that uh, it is all these three are actually the written communication. In job application, someone who is advertising is the sender, and you who are reading that advertisement, you are the receiver. In that case, that company talks to you, communicates to you through advertisement. See, in case of job application, now you are communicating to the person or the employer or the organization or the institution that has given that advertisement. Now it is your reply. See, so again, sender, it this time sender will be you, and the receiver would be that organization. See, and now what is CV? Now CV is again the extension of your job application. CV is also your message or communication, or you are the sender, and the people who are hiring you, they are the receivers. So it means that job application and CV or resume, they are the most important part of your job applying process, you see. And another common point between these three is that all these are formal way of writing or communicating with the other side. You see, it requires a lot of attention, it requires a lot of accuracy, it requires courtesy, it requires completeness, the 7 C's. I time and again I remind you of those 7 C's of communication. So this is a formal communication in which you have to be very particular. Whatever you write, each single word actually counts, because you are making an impression, and your impression is going to be made not only through your job application, but of course your CV. And this is also another important point to remember. I already told you that it needs careful handling. All these three, these two rather, job advertisement I'm not counting in this, because that is from the other side it comes to you. But job application and CV, you are writing it, and it is your impression on the other person, that because that person, when he is going to read your job application and a CV, then you are going to be called for the interview. It is actually a kind of an application to call you or consider you for an interview. See, so this would be your achievement if you are successfully uh, drawing the attention of your employer towards you, and then he or she calls you for the interview, because there are so many candidates. So if in shortlisting you are also considered, then it means that your CV and your job application, they were the good representative for you over there. All right. And so, of course, these are the ones which are the most required in professional life. What? This CV and job application. You will see that when you finish your academic career, and if you go for the jobs, you will be required to write job application, and of course the CV that will accompany it. So this is how we see that we are over with this part. This was the last part of this topic. I hope that you could take out the best for yourself. So thank you for watching and listening to my presentation.